Welcome to another deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're looking at Foxglove.
Yeah.
It's the second book in Adalyn Grace's Belladonna series.
Okay.
And we're really excited to dig into this one.
Yeah.
Because, it tackles some pretty big questions. Life, death, fate, and free will.
Absolutely.
And he shared some excerpts with us.
Yeah.
And just to set the scene, we're in a world where fate literally weaves tapestries of people's lives.
Yes.
And death walks among us.
Yeah.
So,
It's a world where those concepts are very much tangible and present.
Yeah.
Which is what I think is so intriguing about Foxglove, and that it brings these abstract concepts to life, particularly with fate.
Yeah.
He's not just some distant force. He's an actual character.
Right.
With his own workshop, his own desires,
Yeah.
and a very hands-on approach.
Okay, so I'm picturing, Fate's workshop with all these intricate tapestries,
Mm-hmm.
each one representing a human life.
Exactly.
And he's there manipulating the threads, shaping events, almost like a cosmic puppeteer.
Right. And so it raises this question of, do we actually have any control over our destinies? Or are we simply playing out roles that fate has already decided? And this tension between free will and predestination runs throughout the story.
That scene where he interferes with the murder investigation, that really stood out to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he's manipulating perceptions, influencing people's testimonies. He's essentially weaving the narrative that he wants.
Yes.
It makes you wonder how much of our own lives might be shaped by forces beyond our comprehension.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? And it's not just the investigation. Remember Fate's invitation to Cigna?
Right.
That's a very calculated move on his part.
Yeah.
Drawing her and the Hawthorns deeper into his plans.
Deeper into his plans. And then there's Cigna. You mentioned that she can communicate with death, but only when she's near death herself.
Right. It's like,
Intense way to have a conversation.
right.
How does she do that? And what are the consequences?
So she uses belladonna berries
Okay.
to cross that veil between life and death.
Right.
It allows her to speak with death, but it comes at a price. The silver hair, coughing up blood. It really shows how close she constantly is to that edge.
It's like she's walking a tightrope between two worlds,
Right.
never fully belonging to either.
Exactly.
But there's another character who seems to have a different relationship with death, and that's Blythe.
Yes.
She keeps escaping death time and time again.
Right.
Like, what's that all about?
So that begs the question, is this pure luck?
Hmm.
Or is there a larger design at play?
Okay.
Is it possible that some people are destined for greater things? Protected by some unseen force? It's one of the most intriguing mysteries, I think, in the book.
And it plays into Blythe's suspicions about Cigna,
Oh, absolutely.
because she doesn't trust her,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to Percy's disappearance.
Yes.
Which, speaking of Appanatus, add a whole other layer of intrigue to this story.
It does. And you have Byron, who's relentlessly searching for his brother, and he
Yeah.
suspects Cigna might be involved. And then you have that revelation that's hidden in Byron's notes.
Oh, yeah?
Eliza's pregnancy.
Yeah.
And the shocking truth that Percy is the father.
Yeah. It throws a whole new light on Byron's proposal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really does. It makes you think about his motivations.
Totally. It's like one of those moments where the puzzle pieces suddenly click into place.
Yeah.
But the picture they reveal is even darker
Yes.
than you initially thought.
Much darker.
Yeah. There's so much hidden beneath the surface in this story.
Absolutely. And that hidden complexity extends to the setting itself.
Yeah, you described Foxglove Manor
Yes.
as almost a character in the book,
It is.
steeped in secrets and that haunting presence.
The haunting presence.
Oh, it's so unsettling. Like, the past is woven into the very walls.
Right.
Cigna's parents are still there as spirits,
Yes.
along with their friend Amity.
Yes.
It's like they're trapped between worlds.
What's fascinating, though, is how Foxglove embodies both Cigna's past and her potential. It's the place where tragedy struck, but it's also where she discovers her power over the spirits.
Right.
It's almost like the estate itself is pushing her to confront her legacy.
That scene where she commands the spirits and establishes her dominance over the house, that was intense.
Yes.
But it's not all darkness at Foxglove.
No.
You mentioned the garden is particularly interesting.
The garden is the striking contrast to the decay of the manor.
Okay.
It's this space of life and growth, and it symbolizes Cigna's potential to wield life's powers,
Okay.
which is completely different from her Reaper abilities.
Right.
It's a place where she can nurture and create, but also where she has to face her fears and the pain that comes with those powers.
Which makes me think about that complex relationship between life and death that the book explores.
Yes.
Especially with the idea that they're brothers.
Yes, Foxglove presents fate and death as two sides of the same coin.
Okay.
They have contrasting views on interfering with the human world. And there's this underlying tension that suggests some past rift between them.
Like a fractured family dynamic playing out on a cosmic scale.
Exactly.
Wow. And caught in the middle of all of this is Cygnus, struggling to control life's powers while fearing the pain that comes with them.
Understandably so.
Yeah.
She's been hurt and betrayed in the past,
Right.
and that shapes her approach to these new abilities.
Yeah, it's almost like she's afraid to open herself up to the possibility of being hurt again.
Right.
Even if it means suppressing a part of herself.
Exactly.
But then fate shows up at Foxglove and offers to teach her how to control these powers.
Yes.
But it seems awfully convenient.
It does, doesn't it?
I don't know. Is it genuine guidance or just another manipulation?
It's a tricky situation, trusting someone with a history of being a puppet master.
Right.
But there's also the possibility that fate sees something of himself in Cigna.
Okay.
A kindred spirit, so to speak.
Yeah.
Or perhaps he's drawn to her power, the potential he senses within her.
Yeah, and we do see her make some progress, like when she creates that living rose.
Yeah.
Small victory.
Yeah.
But it shows that she is capable of wielding life's power.
Yes. That rose is such a powerful symbol.
Yeah.
Its delicate beauty juxtaposed with the thorns
Right.
represents both the potential and the inherent danger of life's magic.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even the most beautiful things can be fragile.
Yeah.
Easily destroyed.
And speaking of fragility, this whole blood oath situation really raises the stakes.
It does.
Blythe makes this deal with fate,
Right.
trading something precious for a desired outcome.
Yes.
But at what cost?
Ah.
And then there's Cigna bound to fate through her own blood oath,
Yes.
agreeing to bring someone back from the dead to ensure Elijah's freedom.
Wow.
That's the weight of that promise, the potential consequences. Huge.
Yes, it forces Cigna to make an incredibly difficult choice.
Yeah.
She's torn between her loyalty to the Hawthorns and her growing awareness of how dangerous interfering with fate can be,
Right.
and how that could potentially backfire.
That internal conflict is so compelling.
It is.
Because Cigna is compassionate.
Yes.
She's selfless.
Yes.
But she's also vulnerable to manipulation,
Right.
especially when it comes to protecting those she cares about.
And it's a reminder that even with extraordinary abilities, we're all bound by human emotions
Yeah.
and the complexities of our relationships.
Yeah.
Sometimes the choices we make have unintended consequences.
Right.
And the lines between right and wrong
Yeah.
become blurred.
It's a lot to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
We have.
It seems like we're just getting started with this deep dive into Foxglove.
This is just the beginning.
This is just the beginning.
Yeah, it really is just the beginning. We've talked a lot about Cigna and, her navigating this world of spirits and fate.
Right.
But Blythe's approach is fascinatingly different.
Okay.
Remember how you described her spending her nights in the library researching poisons?
Yeah.
It's almost like she's conducting her own investigation, mirroring Cigna's, but in a completely different realm.
It's a great contrast. Because Cigna is drawing on her intuition and, her connection to the spirit world.
Right.
And Blythe's like, okay, let me gather evidence. Let me, follow the clues.
Exactly.
They're both searching for answers, but their methods totally reflect their personalities.
Yes, Cigna's more intuitive,
Yeah.
driven by her feelings, whereas Blythe is very logical, analytical. They embody two very different ways of approaching the world.
And yet their paths converge
They do.
when they both uncover the truth about Eliza's pregnancy and Percy's involvement.
Yes,
That revelation throws everything into a tailspin
it does.
because it just shatters that facade of normalcy
Right.
that the Hawthorns have been clinging to.
Yes.
And then there's Wisteria, the Prince's Palace. You mentioned how opulent and grand it is.
It is.
But there's this underlying sense of unease.
Yes, Wisteria really embodies fate's influence. It's almost like a stage where he orchestrates events, controls perceptions, and draws people into his web.
I remember that scene where he stops the music in the ballroom.
Oh, yes.
And everyone freezes except for Cigna.
Yes.
It's chilling.
It is.
It just highlights how much power he truly wields.
Exactly. And then you have that dance between Cigna and fate.
Oh, yeah?
It's not just a waltz. It's this battle of wills, a clash between two powerful forces.
It's like stepping into a nightmare.
It is a nightmare. And the dance itself becomes this metaphor for their entire relationship.
Okay.
This attraction, resentment, and this shared understanding of the power they each possess.
The things fate says to her during that dance.
Yeah.
It's like, Is he being sincere?
Right. Are his feelings genuine?
Yeah.
Or is it all part of his grand scheme?
Can love truly exist between a mortal and a being like fate?
That's the question, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it really goes to the heart of the book's exploration of, free will versus destiny.
Right.
If fate truly loves Cigna,
Yeah.
does that mean her choices are ultimately meaningless?
Right.
Or does love, even for a being like fate, offer a possibility of defying destiny?
Big questions.
Big questions.
But while we're pondering those, let's go back to Foxglove for a second.
Okay.
Specifically the garden.
Yes.
You mentioned it's not just a pretty backdrop. It's almost like a training ground for Cigna's powers.
It is. The garden is where Cigna confronts her fear of life's magic. Remember how you described her struggling to coax life back into that juniper shrub?
Yeah.
It highlights how different this power is
Yeah.
from her Reaper abilities
Yeah.
and how difficult it is for her to control.
And the other residents of Foxglove, the spirits, particularly Cigna's parents,
Yes.
they're not just there for, spooky atmosphere.
No,
They represent that lingering impact of the past.
they embody the grief and unfinished business that Cigna has to confront.
Her interactions with them,
Yeah.
especially with her mother's friend Amity,
Yes.
give us glimpses into her family history
They do.
and the secrets that continue to haunt them.
Right. And it's almost like Foxglove itself is a character in the story.
Yeah.
This space where the past and present collide,
Right.
and Cigna is forced to confront both the darkness and the potential for healing within those walls.
Speaking of confrontation,
Yep.
there's that pivotal moment in the stables
Yes.
when Blythe discovers Cigna's true nature.
That scene where Cigna ends the full suffering
Yeah.
and reveals her Reaper powers.
Oh, God.
It's a turning point.
It is.
It shatters the illusion of normalcy.
Right.
And irrevocably changes their relationship.
Blythe's reaction, that fear and revulsion in her eyes, heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. It's like a veil has been lifted, exposing the darkness that Cigna has carried for so long.
Right.
And Blythe's response really speaks volumes about that societal stigma surrounding death and those who interact with the spirit world.
Cigna has been ostracized her whole life
Exactly.
because of her abilities.
Right.
And now she's facing that same rejection from someone she considered family.
It's a harsh reminder that society often fears what it doesn't understand, especially when it comes to matters of life and death.
Right.
And that fear can lead to prejudice and isolation.
Right. Which comes to a head in that conversation they have in the garden.
Yes, that conversation is so intense.
So intense.
You can feel the weight of everything they're both carrying.
Yeah.
Their fears, their desires, their conflicting perspectives on how to deal with this dangerous situation.
It's a clash between two very different approaches.
It is.
Blythe is desperate to save her father,
Right.
willing to do whatever it takes,
Yes, even make a deal
even make a deal with fate.
with being as manipulative as fate.
Right. And Cigna's wrestling with the potential consequences of that.
Exactly.
The moral implications of interfering with destiny.
It's like choosing the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Blythe chooses to trust fate,
Yeah.
while Cigna aligns herself with death.
Okay.
And this really sets the stage for a confrontation
Yeah.
that will have huge repercussions for everyone involved.
Their choices highlight a central theme in Foxglove. The consequences of our actions.
Exactly.
Every decision, every deal made, every path taken.
Leads to a different outcome.
Yeah.
And sometimes the path we choose
Yeah.
leads us into even darker territory.
And it seems like that's exactly where this story is headed.
It does, doesn't
We've uncovered secrets, we've witnessed bargains with powerful beings,
Yes.
explored the complexities of life and death, and everything in between.
It's a lot.
It feels like we're on the verge of something major.
I think we are.
Okay, so we left off with Cigna making that blood oath with fate,
Right.
agreeing to bring someone back from the dead.
Yes.
And it feels like everything hinges on this decision.
It does, and it really emphasizes those themes of sacrifice and responsibility
Yeah.
that run through the book.
Mhm.
She's putting herself in incredible danger,
Right.
potentially jeopardizing her own future,
But-
to protect the Hawthorns.
It makes you think about how far you would go for the people you love.
It does.
Would you make a deal with someone as powerful and manipulative as fate?
It's a question that challenges our own moral compass. It forces us to think about, the limits of our own beliefs.
Right.
And what compromises we might be willing to make in extreme circumstances.
The fox hunt. That was another event that really stood out to me.
Oh, yes.
It's not just a social gathering. It seems symbolic of something larger.
It does. The fox hunt brings together characters from all walks of life,
Right.
each with their own motivations and secrets.
Yeah.
It highlights the social tensions and power dynamics
Yeah.
at play in this world. It's like a microcosm of the larger society.
And then there's that moment when Eris rescues the injured fox cub,
Yes.
which is so unexpected because he usually seems so detached.
I know, it's an act of unexpected compassion.
Yeah.
It's as if that fox cub represents something vulnerable that Eris feels compelled to protect. It hints at a hidden depth to his character, a side we don't often see.
And Blythe witnesses this. It makes you wonder if this could change her perception of him.
Possibly. There's definitely a complex dynamic between them.
And then there's Eliza. Her actions reveal a lot about her character, too.
They do.
Those herbs she's taking.
Yeah.
They're not for a simple headache.
No, they're not. She's been self-medicating with something much stronger.
Wow. It shows a hidden strength and determination.
It does.
Like she felt trapped,
Right.
powerless. So
Yeah.
she took matters into her own hand.
Exactly. And it speaks to the limitations placed on women in this society.
Right.
And the lengths they might go to break free.
It makes you realize how much everyone in this story is operating beneath the surface.
Yes.
They all have secrets and hidden depths.
Hidden depths.
And then the truth about Percy comes out.
Yes.
He's dead.
Yeah.
And the circumstances surrounding his disappearance are finally revealed.
Right. It shatters any remaining sense of normalcy for the Hawthorns.
They've been holding on to hope.
Right?
And now they have to face the reality of their loss.
Yes.
And the consequences of their actions.
And the blame game starts almost immediately.
Oh, gosh.
Suspicion falls on Cigna. The tension within the family reaches a breaking point.
It shows how grief and trauma
Yes.
can amplify those tensions.
Right.
And lead to mistrust and accusations.
It's a natural human response.
Yeah.
But it can be incredibly destructive.
And then Eliza confesses.
Oh, wow.
She reveals the truth about Percy being the father of her child.
Yes.
And her attempt to poison Sir Bennet. It's like a dam bursts.
It is.
All these secrets come flooding out.
Eliza's confession is such a heartbreaking moment.
It is.
It speaks to the desperation she felt,
Right.
caught between societal expectations and her own desires.
And it highlights the limited choices
Yes.
women faced in that society.
Absolutely. It's a powerful indictment of those social structures that constrained women's lives,
Right.
forced them into impossible situations.
And then we come to that incredibly intense scene in the garden.
Oh,
Where
yes.
Cigna makes the ultimate sacrifice.
Yes, it's a culmination of all those themes.
Right.
Loyalty, selflessness.
She chooses to honor her blood oath with fate.
Yes, binding herself to him
Right.
to save Elijah and protect the Hawthorns.
It's a selfless act,
Yeah.
but it comes at a huge personal cost.
She loses Death,
Right.
the one person who truly understands her,
Yeah.
to save the people she cares about.
It's a heart-wrenching decision.
It is.
And it raises so many questions about what it means to truly be free
Yeah.
when you're bound by duty and obligation.
What does freedom even mean in that context?
Exactly.
And then there's Blythe, who confronts Death,
yes.
threatening him if he ever hurts Cigna.
It shows how fierce her loyalty is.
It does. It's a significant moment for Blythe.
It is. She's acknowledging the depth of her bond with Cigna, despite their differences
Yeah.
and the betrayals they've faced.
She's also seeing Death in a new light,
Yes.
recognizing his capacity for compassion.
Right. Because he does care for Cigna.
That final scene between Cigna and Death, so bittersweet.
It is. It's poignant.
They know their time together is limited,
Yes.
but their love for each other is palpable. It's a reminder that even the most powerful love
Yeah.
can be challenged by circumstance and fate.
But even in the face of this loss, there's that glimmer of hope.
There is.
Remember that scene where Cigna embraces her role as the mistress of Foxglove?
Oh, yes.
She welcomes the spirits. She creates this space where both the living and the dead can coexist.
Right.
It suggests a potential for healing and acceptance,
Yes.
a way for Cigna to find peace amidst the darkness.
It's a testament to her resilience and her ability to find purpose and meaning in adversity.
She's not defined by her past
Right.
or her powers,
Yeah.
but by her choices.
And her compassion.
And that final image of Blythe
Oh, yes.
at Eliza and Byron's wedding, still harboring feelings for death.
Yes.
And feeling that unsettling sense of being watched.
Right. Like the story isn't truly over.
It feels like as one chapter closes, another begins.
Exactly. The tapestry of life,
Yeah.
to use the book's metaphor, continues to unfold in unexpected ways.
Foxglove leaves us with a lot to ponder.
It
What choices would we make in impossible situations?
Right.
How far would we go to protect the people we love?
And can we ever truly escape the pull of fate?
It's been a fascinating deep dive into this world of spirits and magic
It
and
has.
complex characters. Thank you for sharing your insights
My pleasure.
and for taking us on this journey.
Of course.
And to our listener, if you could meet fate, what would you ask him? What does Foxglove teach us about the choices we make and the consequences they carry?
Lots to think about.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.